This happened to me years ago. I was camping in the Beartooth Wilderness in the early 2000s with my little brother. The air was cold. My flashlight flickered. Something was outside the tent. I could hear it. Not footsteps, but clicking. Like claws. I held my breath. I nudged my brother. "You hear that?" He sat up, eyes wide. Then the light died. Total darkness. Then a glow, not from us. From above, a beam of soft blue light lit up the entire tree line. Silent. Too silent. Birds, bugs, all gone. We grabbed our stuff and bolted into the trees. But the light moved, followed us. I remember stumbling over roots, falling, scraping my hands. But the blue light never faded. It was like being inside a gigantic blue spotlight. It was hypnotic. I wanted to reach out and touch it. I wanted to be enveloped by it. My brother, though he wanted to get away from it, he kept running deeper into the forest. Then something hit the trees behind us. A thud like an explosion, but not like anything I've ever heard. It knocked us off our feet. I looked back. It was coming from above. Whatever was there had crashed into the trees. I scrambled back, tripping over branches and rocks. The blue light was gone. In its place, 1,000 fireflies blinking randomly. It was beautiful, enchanting. And then the wind shifted. The smell of ozone, burnt metal and decay hit me like a punch. The hair on my arms stood up. This was wrong, so wrong. We kept running until we came to a creek. My brother jumped in without hesitation. Without thinking? I don't blame him. I would have done the same. The water was freezing, but I didn't care. I waded in. It was knee-deep. I felt something brush against my leg. I screamed, thrashing around, kicking at the water. My brother grabbed me. "It's okay," he yelled over the rushing water. "It's okay." I knew he was lying. Neither of us had any idea what was out there. As we stood there catching our breath, listening to the sounds of the forest, slowly returning, birdsong, buzzing insects, crickets, the wind rustling through the leaves, my brother and I looked at each other. We both had this wild look on our faces, eyes wide, mouths open slightly. We were both scared, confused, and excited. It was one of those moments where you know your life will never be the same. After a while, we decided to go back. We figured whatever was out there would be gone by morning. And if it wasn't, well, we'd just run again. We dried ourselves off, made some breakfast, poured some coffee. As the sun rose, we unzipped the tent. The forest looked normal, beautiful, peaceful. I scanned the area for any signs of the night before, but there was nothing. No crashed spaceship, no blue light, no burnt trees. It was like it never happened. Except we found this. In the center of the tent ring, there was a patch of scorched earth, maybe 3 feet in diameter, maybe a square meter. It looked like someone had taken a blowtorch to the ground. I carefully brushed off the dirt to reveal the black, charred remains of grass and small plants. My hand brushed against something hard. I looked down. It was a rock, a flat, smooth river rock. It was warm to the touch. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands. I couldn't explain what I was feeling. This overwhelming sense of peace, of calm, of connection. I mean, it's just a rock, right? But holding it, it felt like I was holding a piece of the universe itself. We packed up, leaving the rock behind. We didn't speak much on the drive home. I think we both needed some time to process what had happened. We agreed not to tell anyone. What would people have thought? How would they have reacted? They wouldn't have believed us. And that's fine. Some things are better left unexplainable. When I got home, I tried to shake off the experience, tried to go back to normal, but I couldn't. I couldn't stop thinking about the blue light. I tried to draw it, I don't even know how to draw, let alone what to draw. So I just ended up, all that day, I walked around with a sense of peace, of calm. I couldn't explain it. I told my wife about it that night. She listened patiently, then she smiled. "You know," she said, "you've always been a bit of a space cadet." And that was that. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't stop thinking about the blue light. It called to me. It felt like a part of me was missing, like something inside me had awakened. I wanted to go back, but my wife wasn't having it. "No way," she said. "Are you crazy? There's nothing out there but trees and bears and creepy and besides," she added, "it's just a camping story. You know, like those two hikers who swore they saw Bigfoot, except they probably just saw a bear, or those college kids who claimed their beer can glowed in the dark. It was probably just phosphorescent paint." And I thought about that. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was just a camping story. So I did what anyone reasonable would do. I bought a metal detector, a high-end one used mostly by professional archaeologists and treasure hunters. I mean, it was just a hunch, a feeling, but I had to check it out. I headed back to the Beartooth Wilderness and retraced our steps. But it was a false alarm. I didn't find anything unusual. No strange rocks, no buried treasure, no evidence that we'd ever been there. It was frustrating. I mean, I spent all that time and money for nothing. Or was I really onto something here? Had I discovered something truly extraordinary only to lose it, letting it slip through my fingers like sand? And what if something dangerous was out there? What if it was watching me, waiting for me to return? I didn't find what I was looking for, but I did find this, a perfect campsite, secluded and private, surrounded by towering trees. It was like the forest itself had rolled out the welcome mat. So I pitched my tent and settled in for the night. I built a fire, roasted some marshmallows, gazed up at the stars. It was amazing. I felt a sense of peace, of belonging. This is what it meant to be alive. And then I heard it. A twig snapped. I froze. Was I imagining it? I strained to listen. Another snap. There it was, again. Something was out there. It was getting closer. I could hear its breathing. It was almost on top of me. I reached for the flashlight, my heart pounding in my chest. And that's when I saw it. A pair of glowing eyes staring at me from the darkness. I don't want to scare you, but it looked like I tried to move on. I got a new phone. I deleted the old notebook. I blocked out the memories. But they didn't go away. The dreams came back stronger. Not just lights or shadows now, but faces. Long, stretched faces. Eyes, too black, too deep, like falling into a hole that never ends. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. They just stared, like they were measuring me, figuring out what part of me to keep. One night, I woke up standing outside, barefoot, middle of the street, 3:41 a.m. The door was locked behind me. No keys, no idea how I got there. That was the night I knew. This isn't just trauma. This is still happening. I reached out to Tyler. He never responded. When I finally went to his house, his mom told me he moved. No forwarding address. Just vanished. Then Nate's number stopped working. His Instagram deleted. It's like they're erasing us, one by one. I tried posting about it on Reddit, got 300 upvotes in an hour. Then the post disappeared. Account banned. My email? Locked. My phone glitched and restarted. You ever hear your name come through a speaker when nothing's connected? I have. More than once. Last week, I saw a man standing outside my job. Grey hoodie, hands in pockets. He wasn't doing anything. Just watching. But every time I blinked, he was closer. First across the parking lot, then near the dumpsters, then right outside the window, then gone. That night I went home and all my clocks were flashing 3:41 a.m. Even the ones I never set. I don't know what they want. I don't know why us. But I feel it coming to a head. Something big, something final. If you're watching this, save it. Download it, because one day I might disappear like Tyler and Nate. But if I do, know this. They're real. They're here. And they never left. Hello. Hello. Are you out there? Can you hear me? Are we alone? Why are we alone? I remember her face, tearing apart at the seams. The night she died. What if it's her? What if it's her? I see him sometimes, standing on the edge of my vision, watching, waiting for me to turn around so he can grab me, pull me back down. Sometimes I wake up in cold sweats, gasping for air, that feeling of dread, crushing me like a vice. All my skin prickles with goo. Every shadow seems to writhe and twist. Every whisper of wind sends shivers down my spine. I hear voices echoing in my mind, taunting, tormenting me. Always the same words over and over again. Get back in the box. Get back in the box. Get back in the box. My nightmares have always been vivid. Faces, figures, places from my past, all of them grinning, leering, beckoning me to join them in the darkness. But recently, things have changed. The lines between dream and reality are blurring. I feel their icy fingers creeping into my waking hours. The laughter echoes in the daytime. Voices whisper in the quietest rooms. Their presence clings to me like a shroud. There are moments when I catch glimpses of movement in my peripheral vision. A flash of white teeth, a glint of something sharp and cruel. Then when I turn to look, there's nothing there. Or worse, I find myself staring into bottomless pits where there should be eyes, where there should be faces. Nothing but darkness. It's like they're playing a twisted game with me, keeping just out of sight. Always there, always watching, but never letting me see them clearly. My whole life has been a series of unfortunate events. Abusive parents, a string of bad relationships, unfulfilling jobs. I've always felt like I'm one step away from losing it all, like I'm on the verge of a breakdown. But this feeling, this terror that's been gripping me lately, it's different. It's like there's this dark force pulling me under. It started subtly. Unexplained bruises, whispers in the dead of night, objects moving on their own. I tried to rationalize it all. Blamed it on stress, lack of sleep, an overactive imagination. But as time went on, the incidents became more frequent, more intense. My safe space turned into a prison of fear. A few weeks ago, I found this old journal, its pages filled with cryptic entries detailing unsettling experiences that mirror my own. It's like looking into a fun-house mirror, grotesque, distorted, yet undeniably familiar. As I read through the faded ink, I feel a chilling connection to the person who wrote them. Their words echo my own thoughts and feelings, confirming that I'm not alone in this madness. The thing is, I don't recognize the handwriting. It's not mine. So, who wrote this diary? And why does it seem to predict my every move, my every fear? It's a mystery that both fascinates and terrifies me. This journal feels like a warning, a roadmap to a nightmare I'm stumbling through. My friends and family, they worry about me. They see the haunted look in my eyes, the way I jump at shadows, the constant fear that clings to me like a second skin. But I can't bring myself to tell them the truth. How could I explain the inexplicable? The fear that something evil is watching me, waiting to strike? Would they believe me? Or would they think I've finally lost my mind? As the days go by, the boundary between dream and reality continues to blur. I walk among the living, but I feel like I'm already dead. My soul is trapped in a purgatory of my own making. So here I am, hiding in the darkness, trying to piece together the fragments of my sanity. The only light in my life seems to come from the flickering screen of my phone, the artificial glow illuminating the monsters lurking in the corners of my vision. If you're watching this, please help me. I don't know how much longer I can keep up the charade. The weight of their gazes, it's becoming unbearable. I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of despair, and I don't know if anyone will be there to save me. If I disappear, if you find this video, if you find my story, please believe me. What I'm experiencing, it's real. And the darkness, it's closing in. Every time I try to escape their clutches, they pull me back into the abyss. I see them waiting, patient, relentless. They're a part of me now, whether I like it or not. I've tried everything to break free. Therapy, medication, even hypnosis. But nothing works. Their grip on me tightens with each passing day, squeezing the life out of me until all that's left is a shell. But it's not just me they're after. My loved ones, they're in danger, too. Tyler, my best friend since childhood, he started seeing things, hearing voices, just like me. At first, I thought he was going crazy, but then he disappeared without a trace, vanished into thin air, leaving behind a note that simply said, "I'm sorry." Then there's Nate, my boyfriend, my rock, the one person who gave meaning to my existence. He tried to help me, to be my anchor in the storm. But they took him, too. Now there's no sign of either of them, and I fear the worst. I know they're gone. I feel it in my bones. I hear their mocking laughter in the wind. Their whispers taunting me, telling me I'll join them soon. As I sit here in the suffocating darkness, I realize the gravity of our situation. We're not dealing with ordinary forces here. There's something ancient, something sinister at play, something that thrives on fear and despair. What we're facing, it's not just mental illness. It's a descent into the heart of darkness. It's a battle between sanity and insanity. And I'm not sure if I have the strength to fight. If you're watching this, please run. Don't look back. Don't waste a second trying to understand. Just get out while you still can. Tell the authorities. Tell them everything. They won't believe you, but you have to try. This world is teetering on the edge of oblivion, and if I had to choose between saving myself and saving humanity, I wouldn't hesitate for one moment. If this is the end for me, I hope it's not the end for you. Keep fighting. Keep believing in the light. Don't let the darkness consume you. Remember, there's still good in this world. There's still hope. Just hold on to that. Hold on to that, and don't let go. From the moment I arrived in Hollow Creek, things felt different, off, like the town itself was holding its breath. Sheriff Brody met me at the door. His face was tight, his eyes shadowed. "You should have come sooner," he said, gripping my shoulder hard enough to bruise. "What is it? What happened?" "I don't have time to explain," he snapped, turning away. "You need to get to the Pierce place. See for yourself." Before I could ask another question, he shoved a gun into my hand, his face grim. "Don't use it unless you have to," he mouthed. Then he was gone, running hard into the darkness. My headlights cut through the thick mist clinging to the trees lining the road. Each turn brought me deeper into the woods. The feeling of being watched, pressing down on me, making my skin crawl. A flash of movement in the trees, a rustle in the underbrush. Every snap of a twig made me jump. The forest seemed to be exhaling, letting out a long, low sigh with every gust of wind. It was unnerving, unsettling. Nothing should have been out here in the middle of the night, especially not in Hollow Creek. This wasn't a place for visitors, least of all, me. But I was here because something had happened to Hannah. She'd called me 2 days ago, frantic, breathless. She'd said, "Cassie, I have to get away from here. Something terrible has happened." Everyone is acting so strange. The sheriff, he came to the house, but I don't know what he was doing. I think I'm in danger." And then the line went dead. I tried calling back, but her phone went straight to voicemail. So I drove up from Nashville, practically on fumes and fear, desperate to find her, to make sense of it all. The road finally gave way to a clearing, and in front of me stood the Pierce family home, or what was left of it, a charred, broken husk, the windows vacant eye sockets, staring sightlessly into the darkness. My heart hammered against my ribs, each thump echoing the dread that was constricting my throat. This wasn't just a simple case of a missing friend. There was something deeply, disturbingly wrong here. Something that reached out from the shadows of the woods, from the depths of the town's secrets. When I stepped out of my car, the cold night air wrapped around me like a shroud. The forest pressed close, the trees looming over me, their branches gnarled fingers tapping on the roof of my car, the glass reflecting the flames of my fear. I took a shaky breath, trying to quell the panic rising in my chest. I needed to find Hannah. I needed answers. As I started to walk toward the house, the forest seemed to hold its breath, watching, waiting. I could feel its eyes on me, could sense its disapproval of my intrusion. I pushed on, the crunching of leaves under my boots, the only sound breaking the oppressive silence. The closer I got to the house, the more the forest seemed to close in, the trees forming a tunnel of twisted branches and rustling leaves. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I heard it, a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from the very earth itself. It was primal, terrifying, and it sent a shiver down my spine. I stopped dead in my tracks, listening intently. The growl rumbled again, closer this time, and I knew I wasn't alone in these woods. Something was out there watching me, waiting for me, and it wasn't friendly. Fear propelled me forward, pushing me toward the house, toward whatever danger lurked in its charred remains. I burst through the front door, splinters digging into my arms, and found myself in a hallway, the air thick with the smell of ash and decay. In the flickering light of my flashlight, I saw that the walls were lined with pictures, some of them of a young girl who looked like an older version of Hannah. My heart ached. Where was she? What had happened here? As I cautiously moved through the house, the floorboards creaking under my weight, I realized that I wasn't the only one seeking answers. Something else was here with me, something unseen but keenly aware. I could feel its presence, heavy and malicious, lurking in the shadows. The growl rumbled again, this time right outside the house, and I knew I had to get out, to get away from whatever was out there. I raced to the back door, flinging it open and stumbling out into the darkness. Behind me, the door slammed shut and I turned to run. The growl echoed in my ears as I broke into a sprint, the unseen watcher gaining on me. Adrenaline surged through my veins, urging me onward. I could hear its heavy breathing, the thud of its footsteps, and I knew I wouldn't outrun it forever. I stumbled over a tree root and fell hard onto the ground, scraping my palms. Pain flared, but I ignored it, scrambling to my feet and running blindly into the forest. I could hear the creature crashing through the underbrush behind me, getting closer. Panic tightened its grip on me, squeezing the air from my lungs, making every step a Herculean effort. Then I saw it. A break in the trees, a sliver of moonlight, a promise of escape. I lunged for it, bursting out of the trees and collapsing on the soft grass of a clearing. As I lay there, catching my breath, the creature emerged from the trees, its eyes gleaming in the moonlight. For a moment, we just stared at each other, the hunter and the hunted. Then it spoke. Its voice was a raspy whisper that seemed to slither through the air. "So you found your way here, just like they did." Its eyes, dark and fathomless, seemed to bore into me. "What are you? Who are you?" I choked out, my voice trembling. The creature tilted its head, a grotesque mockery of curiosity. Who am I? I am what you become when you delve too deep, when you seek answers that were never meant for you. It took a step closer, and I instinctively recoiled, hitting my head hard on the ground. Stars exploded behind my eyelids. "Don't!" I croaked out, my voice raw. "Don't hurt Hannah." The creature paused, its gaze boring into mine. "She is part of this now. All of Hollow Creek is—" It let out a low growl that vibrated in my chest. "You shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have disturbed what was meant." As it advanced, I scrambled backward, my back hitting a tree trunk. Trapped. Fear choked me. "Hannah!" I whispered, my voice cracking. "What have you done with her?" The creature leaned closer, its breath hot and fetid on my face. "She is beyond saving, just like the rest of them, just like you will be." It lunged, and I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for the inevitable. But instead of pain, I felt something cold wrap around my arm. I opened my eyes to see a vine, thorny and pulsing with an eerie green light, digging into my flesh. Another one shot out, coiling around my waist, pulling me upward. I screamed, thrashing wildly, trying to tear the vines from me. But the more I struggled, the tighter the grip became, constricting, suffocating. With a final strangled cry, I blacked out. When I woke up, I was lying on the ground. The vines that had held me suspended now lay limp and withered at my side. I sat up, my head pounding, and looked around. The forest was silent, still watching, and somewhere in its depths, I could have sworn I heard a whisper, a mocking, triumphant laugh. Then I saw it, on the ground beside me, nestled in the leaves, was a single red high-heel shoe. My blood ran cold. I recognized the shoe. What the hell is going on with my life? This is the question that has been running around my mind since that day. 48 days ago, when I arrived to Oregon for what was supposed to be an exciting weekend away, only for me to end up on some sort of cult ritual and barely escaping with my life. But now, after being back home, I am not sure if I really did escape. Because they may have something to do with why today I am sitting here in my backyard staring at a small tape recorder that was left on my doorstep 2 nights ago, a tape recorder that holds a message from the dead. But before we get to that part, let's start at the beginning. When I first met Hannah, she was my world. I knew it then, but I didn't listen to that feeling, to that instinct. Instead, I called her crazy. I told her she needed to stop reading too much into things. When she mentioned she felt a connection with the woods behind our house, that's where she wanted to have her bachelorette party. I told her to pick somewhere else, anywhere else, because those woods were dangerous. That where the serial killer had dumped off his victims, and I didn't want to risk anything happening to her out there. But she wouldn't listen. She wanted to go there. So, the night before her wedding, we went into the woods, and the creepy crawlies came out. We ran into a clearing, and there was a cave. We all laughed. Hannah loved it. She said it was perfect. I told her she was nuts, and then she kissed me. It was a good kiss. Better than most I'd had in a while, and it made me forget about how scared I was, at least for a minute. We all stayed there for hours. There was a fire. We drank. We thought we were safe. But then suddenly the footsteps stopped outside the cave. Hannah was out cold. I stayed still, barely breathing, hiding behind a log. The walls lit up. Not from fire, just glowing. Like the rock was alive. The buzzing noise. It had voices in it. Low whispers. Then they came. 3 of them. They moved like shadows. Tall and thin, see-through skin, no faces. One reached for Hannah. Its arm splint into thin wires, and then touched her forehead. She froze, mouth open, eyes wide, not blinking, not breathing. Then it looked at me and everything went black. I woke up floating. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I was just stuck. I wasn't alone. There were other people there. I could feel them screaming inside their heads, their emotions, their fear. It was deafening. Then the buzzing started again, and once more the voices. They reached down and pulled me up. Higher and higher I floated, until I could see everything. They didn't cut me, but they did look inside me. They pulled out my thoughts, memories, secrets. I don't know what they did with them. Maybe they were erased, or maybe they became part of their own. I don't know. Then I saw things, flashes, Hannah's face, melting, smiling. I don't know how to describe it. Then I saw me, or what I think was me, watching myself, and then a voice inside my head said, "You asked for this." Something stabbed into my chest. It didn't hurt. It just pulsed like a second heart. I remember thinking how strange that was, how I should feel pain, but I didn't. Then everything went black again. I woke up and I was back in my tent. The fire was out, the ground was wet, and Hannah was gone. I ran out of the woods, called her name, but she didn't answer. I found her phone. It was smashed. I called the police. I reported her missing. I've been waiting for them to find her body ever since. But so far, nothing. Today is day 48. No Hannah, no answers, just questions. Why did she leave me? Was she planning something? What was that place? Who are those creatures? Why am I still alive? And why am I still not sleeping? Because every night I hear the buzzing, the whispering. I try to make myself busy, but it doesn't help. When I close my eyes, they're there. Sometimes I dream of Hannah. I can feel her touch. I can hear her laugh. And then I wake up crying because none of it is real. A few days ago, I was looking through the pictures I took that night. I was hoping I captured something, anything weird, proof that I'm not crazy, but I found something else. When I showed the photos to the police, they said it was probably just the lighting in the cave. But when I look at it, I see a shadow figure in the background. It looks like the same ones from my nightmares. I tried to tell the police about the glowing rocks, about the voices, but they didn't want to hear it. They said I was upset, stressed. They kept telling me I'd done enough damage to my life already, and that I should unmake things worse by making up some fantasy story about cults and shadow people. So I stopped talking to them. It must have been 2 nights ago when I heard a knock at the door. It was late, maybe midnight. My heart started racing. I looked out the window, but no one was there. I didn't answer the door. I didn't have to. When I opened the door, there was a box sitting there, small, wrapped in black plastic. I knew not to touch it, but I did. Inside was a tape recorder. That's all. When I got home from work today, it was still there. I almost threw it out, but something made me listen. I pressed play. The tape was from Hannah. Her voice was shaky, tired. She said, "It's happening again. They're coming back. I don't know what to do." I turned the recorder off and started pacing. I tried to make myself believe it was a sick joke, that someone had put the tape together using an app, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. And then the second tape started playing. It was the same voice, but different person. Oregon was just the start. Then I heard footsteps outside my door. I pressed the recorder off and slowly crept towards it. But when I looked out the peephole, there was no one there. I checked the porch. Nothing. So now I'm here, sitting in my backyard. The fire's gone out. The air is filled with this burned smell. I haven't slept in 7 days. I keep hearing the buzzing in my ear, and when I look down, I see that my arm is covered with these strange markings. They weren't there when I woke up. I tried to show them to the cops, but they just gave me a weird look. "You sure you haven't been drinking?" All I know is that whatever is happening to me, Hannah was a part of it. And now, wherever she is, she's in danger. I have to get to her before it's too late. And whoever put that box on my doorstep, whoever is doing this to me, they want me to find her. Maybe if I can get to her first, I can save us both. But I need help. I just don't know who to ask. I think I need to go back to the woods. I think I need to see them. Yeah, that's it. I need to go back. Thank you for listening. Do you believe in ghosts? If so, then check out this video next. Or if you want something else, hey everyone, click here. We have so many amazing, scary stories told by people just like you. Into today's video, please remember to subscribe and leave us a like. Let's get right into the story. Snatched at my coat as I raced through the woods, desperate for cover. Behind me, the TV newscaster's voice echoed. 3 days ago, Park Ranger Hannah Wells disappeared during a routine patrol in the Redwood National Park. Search teams have yet to find any sign of the missing woman. I pushed aside a thick curtain of vines, breaking into a small clearing, the firebreak. Here I stopped to catch my breath. It was here, hidden amongst the ancient trees, that I knew I'd find her. I'd spent the last 24 hours combing through miles of dense forest, following every lead, talking to everyone who had even the slightest connection to Hannah. And still I hadn't found her, but I knew I was close. I could feel it deep in my bones. As a paranormal investigator, I don't normally concern myself with missing persons cases. But Hannah was different. Our paths had crossed several times over the past year. She'd attended some of my lectures, even tagging along on a few investigations. Most recently, she'd assisted me in my investigation of the Lady in White, a ghost who haunts the Humboldt Bay. Hannah had wanted to make the most of her time off between ranger shifts, soaking up as much knowledge as possible. She was eager to learn, and although I'd never admit it to her, I'd enjoyed having such an enthusiastic apprentice, especially after she'd helped me capture audio evidence of the Lady in White's spirit. I'd finally convinced her that there really were ghosts. But now Hannah was missing, and no one seemed to care. The police had labeled it a missing persons case, but the signs pointed to foul play. Her truck was found abandoned near a secluded part of the Avenue of the Giants. Witnesses claimed to have seen her talking to a strange man. The sheriff had interviewed everyone in the area, but they couldn't offer up any helpful information. All leads had gone cold, and if I didn't find Hannah soon, the search would be called off. When I first arrived at the firebreak, the wind had been whipping through the tall trees, creating an eerie whistling sound that reminded me of a lonely wolf's howl. Now the wind had died down, leaving behind an unsettling silence. As I scanned the dark woods, listening intently, I heard a snap. I whirled around to face the noise, my heart pounding against my ribs. Nothing. Just the shadows growing longer in the gathering dusk. Then I heard it again, a soft crackling, coming from just beyond the line of trees. I crept forward, my senses on high alert. Then I saw it, a thin wisp of white smoke rising slowly into the air. Relief flooded me. I found Hannah. I raced through the trees, pushing aside branches that clawed at my face, my pace quickening as I drew closer. I burst into a small clearing and froze. In front of me stood a sight that defied explanation. A low mound of freshly turned earth was surrounded by dozens of white feathers, each one pristine and perfect. Emerging from the center of the mound was a column of smoke, twisting and turning as it rose into the sky. From somewhere within the swirling mass, a low humming sound vibrated through the clearing, sending shivers down my spine. Hannah wasn't here. Whatever had made the feathers and summoned the smoke had taken her. And whatever it was still here. I took a hesitant step forward, my eyes glued to the writhing column of smoke. As I moved, the branches parted overhead, revealing a sliver of pale moonlight. It illuminated more of the clearing, showing me a large circle of crushed leaves and dirt surrounding the mound. And in the middle of it all, a single black feather lay half buried in the soil. I reached down to pick it up. It felt warm to the touch, and as my fingers brushed against its surface, a jolt of energy surged through me, propelling me backward. I stumbled, falling onto the soft earth. Instinctively, I scrambled away from the clearing, desperate to put as much distance between myself and the mysterious sight as possible. As I ran, the sound of my own ragged breathing filled my ears, masking all other sounds. But then, just as suddenly as it began, the humming stopped. Silence descended once more, and in the quiet, I heard a voice, soft and lilting like a mournful song. I couldn't stop thinking about the tape. Hannah's voice. It didn't sound scared. It sounded changed. I needed answers, so I went back. Same woods, same trail. This time, I brought gear: camera, knife, flashlight, Geiger meter. At first, everything looked normal. But the deeper I hiked, my gear started acting weird. No service, compass spinning, the Geiger meter ticked louder the closer I got to the ridge. Then I found it. A perfect circle in the forest. No trees. Grass dead, like something massive had landed there. In the center, a metal hatch, half covered in moss. It hummed when I got close. I touched it. Instantly flash of light. My ears popped. My vision blurred. Then I saw the stairs, going straight underground. I knew I shouldn't go down, but I did. Each step echoed. The walls were metal but warm. Lights pulsed along the path, red, blue, red, blue. Then I heard it, breathing. Not mine. Deep, slow, wet breathing. I turned the corner, and there it was. It wasn't a ship. It was a lab. Glass tubes. People inside them, floating, eyes open, still alive. Some looked like Hannah, some looked like me. I backed up fast, but then the lights cut, dark, pitch black, and a voice said, "You came back too early. That was 3 days ago." I woke up back at home. No memory of leaving, but my camera's full of footage, only static and one clear shot. Me, standing in the woods, smiling, with Hannah beside me, her eyes all black. Thanks for watching. What do you think happened to the narrator? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks to everyone who supports us. Your support really helps keep this channel going. If you'd like to learn more about our support options or to support us, please visit our support page. If you enjoy these sorts of creepy stories, be sure to check out our podcast, where we publish exclusive terrifying tales from listeners like you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is about a nightmarish experience they say they went through. So let's hear it. It was 2008. My boyfriend and I were looking forward to our yearly trip to an electronic music festival held during the summer solstice. We arrived at the campsite early Friday morning and set up. The festival started that evening and lasted until Sunday afternoon. Saturday was our main day. The concert was amazing, and after it ended, some friends and I wandered off in search of a party. We found one in an abandoned warehouse with a small crowd of mostly older guys, 30 plus. We drank, danced, and chattered until around 4 a.m. when we decided to go back to the campsite. On the way, we passed by a field used for parking campers. As we walked across the field, we noticed some people running and playing tag between parked campers. Me and my 2 friends joined in. We played until we reached our camper, which was parked near the edge of the field. Inside, my boyfriend was asleep. I told him we just played, and he said okay. I changed into shorts and a tank top and got ready for bed. 5 minutes later, he woke up and we went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I was awoken by screams. Someone was screaming my name over and over again. Shayla, Shayla! I woke my boyfriend up and asked him if he heard that. He said no and fell back asleep. Minutes later, I heard it again. Closer this time, I sat up. The screams were right outside our camper. The wind was blowing hard, making the trees sway, and it sounded like someone was being murdered just outside our camper. Terrified, I grabbed my boyfriend's arm. This time the voice was right outside the camper yelling, "Help me, Shayla, help me." I started banging on the side of the camper, yelling, "Get away, get away." After what seemed like hours, but was probably only a few minutes, the screams stopped. I don't know how long we spent sitting there listening, hugging each other and waiting for whatever was out there to pass by, but finally we fell back asleep. When I awoke, it was to the sound of birds chirping. The sun was shining in through the windows of the camper. My boyfriend was awake and sitting on the edge of the bed looking shaken. He said he had a horrible dream about me getting kidnapped, and he kept waking up throughout the night to the sounds of screams and my panicked voice calling for help. I told him I had a dream too, but I don't remember what it was about. I felt so drained and upset. I just wanted to go home. We started packing up, ignoring the screams that echoed across the field. My friends came by to see if we were up and ready to go to breakfast. They told us they also heard screams in the middle of the night, but they assumed it was a couple having a fight or something. We all piled into my friend's car and drove toward home. When we reached the toll road leading out of the camping area, we stopped. I noticed that my camera bag was missing. It was on the ground beside the camper when we left, but now it was gone. I turned to my boyfriend, who was unusually quiet and pale. He said he didn't see it. I asked if he could go back and look while we waited here. He said no and started the engine. I was angry. Why was he being so weird? I tried to call his name, but he sped out of the parking area. About 10 minutes into the drive, he pulled over on the side of the road and told me to get out. I refused, demanding to know why he was acting this way and where my camera bag was. He yelled that he needed space and told me to walk behind his car. I got out and stood behind the vehicle. I felt completely betrayed and rejected, standing on the side of the road with nothing but the clothes on my back and my cell phone. I called my friends, who picked me up and brought me back to their place. They listened to my story and offered comfort and food. When my boyfriend showed up at my friend's house a few hours later, he was very apologetic and explained that he was suffering from anxiety and panic attacks and needed space. I forgave him, and we continued our relationship. 6 months later, I was visiting his parents' house. His mum was showing me old photo albums. She came across one that had been marked private. She asked me if I wanted to see it. I said yes, and she handed it to me. All the pictures in the album were of my boyfriend as a child. Nothing unusual, except for one picture on the last page. It showed my boyfriend as a toddler standing beside a camper with 2 other children. All 3 kids were holding hands and smiling. They were wearing matching outfits. I asked if they adopted him. His mum's face drained of color, and she said no. She then rushed out of the room, and I never saw her again. That was the last time I ever visited his family. My boyfriend and I broke up shortly after that. A year has passed, and I still think about that strange album and the picture I saw in it. I know who those children were, or why his mother reacted so violently when she saw that picture. I asked my boyfriend about it once, but he became enraged and accused me of trying to stir up trouble. He said I shouldn't dig into things that would only hurt him and his family. I dropped it, but I've often thought about the picture and the screaming in the middle of the night. One day I was going through an old box of stuff and found my camera bag. I opened it and found that the hard drive containing all the photos from that camping trip was missing. I looked everywhere for it, but couldn't find it. A week ago, I was cleaning out the closet and found it in the back behind some coats. I took it home and plugged it into my computer. To my horror, all the pictures were gone. There's only one picture remaining on the entire drive. It shows my boyfriend sleeping in the camper. In the background, you can see his mom standing by the window, her face clearly visible. In her hand is a silver locket that I recognize from the picture in the private photo album. Thank you for sharing that really scary story. What do you think happened in that story? Let me know in the comments below, because I can't wait to hear your thoughts. If you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe and leave a like, as it really helps us out. Be sure to share this with your friends, and if you want to hear more stories like this, check out this playlist right here. Until next time, I'll see you later, with more nightmares, screaming. Subscribe me for more. But I never saw my body again. I don't know where I went, only that something was watching us, and it wasn't human. I've never told this story publicly. I've always felt like something was still listening, still watching. It happened when I was 19. A storm was building over our neighborhood park while 5 friends and I played frisbee. Thunder cracked, the wind picked up, and rain started to fall in thick drops. Then I heard it. A strange, buzzing hum, deep and electric, like a power line snapping inside my chest. I looked up, and everything froze. Time didn't slow. It stopped. My friends stood frozen mid-motion. One guy was wiping his face, frozen like a glitch in a paused video. Then flash. A light exploded in the sky, blinding white, and I felt something slam into my chest. Then, nothing. Not black, void. I wasn't unconscious. I wasn't asleep. I was somewhere else. Weightless, alone. And then, I wasn't alone. I didn't see it. Something huge, intelligent, and completely foreign was there with me, probing, surrounding me. And then 3 glowing rectangles opened like windows in the dark. On the screens, an aerial view of the park, and my friends, lying still, sprawled in the grass like corpses. But I wasn't there. I wasn't on the ground. My body was missing. It wasn't a dream. I saw everything with unnatural clarity, like reality turned up past 4K. I could see the wrinkles in my friend's shirt, but I wasn't there. Then something moved behind me in the void. A figure, human-shaped but wrong. The limbs too long, the neck too stiff, and it was staring through me, though it had no eyes. A whisper pushed straight into my head. You were chosen. Chosen for what? We are watching. Always. I screamed in my mind. I didn't want to be there anymore. I begged to go home. The presence pulsed closer, silent but impossible to ignore. It said one last thing, and I'll never forget it. You were not supposed to see this. In a blink, I was slammed back into my body, face first into wet grass, coughing up dirt, my friends groaning around me. A neighbor ran toward us, screaming. He'd seen it happen. Lightning. All of us dropped, like we'd been electrocuted from above. But the weirdest part, everyone else saw my body on the ground. But I didn't. Not in that other place. So what the hell was I? And what exactly? We were driving back from a night hike, 4 of us, packed in a beat-up SUV, somewhere deep in the Oregon forest. No signal, no lights, just twisted roads and pine trees swallowing the moonlight. Then came the noise, a low-frequency hum that made our bones feel liquid. Out of nowhere, blinding light. We were weightless, floating. I saw everyone else frozen mid-scream, eyes wide, mouths open, like statues. Except me. I could move. I floated up through the roof of the SUV like it wasn't there. The forest vanished. The light consumed everything. And then I wasn't me anymore. I woke up, back in the car. Seatbelt on, everyone else gasping like they'd been holding their breath for hours. But something was wrong. They were acting like my friends. But their eyes, blank, too blank, like someone had downloaded the memory of my friend, but forgot to install the soul. Then I looked in the rearview mirror. That face staring back at me, not mine, the bone structure, the eyes, off by inches, the nose wrong, the hands different scars, my voice deeper, slower. Alien, I screamed. I begged them to tell me what happened, but they just stared and smiled. A week later, I went home. My parents didn't notice a thing, but my dog wouldn't come near me. It howled all night and wouldn't eat until I left. I found a scar behind my ear. Circular, metallic, like something had been installed. I haven't slept right since, and every night at 3:33 a.m., I hear static coming from inside my closet. They didn't abduct us. They started with a hum, low, vibrating, unnatural. I was alone in my truck off a back road near Fort Klamath, Oregon, middle of nowhere. I'd stopped to sleep, but woke up to the windows glowing blue. I got out to check. There was something floating above the trees. Metallic, no sound, just hovering. Then a light hit me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I was being pulled up, not lifted, dragged. I don't remember how I got inside, but when I opened my eyes, I was lying on a cold metal slab, naked, straps around my wrists and ankles. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. There were things, tall, thin, pale, almost translucent, big black eyes. But the smell, it smelled like burnt meat and copper. One of them leaned over me. Its skin shimmered like oil in water. It pressed a finger to my chest, and I felt a needle slide into my neck. Blood filled a glass tube. It wasn't red, it was black. They hissed to each other in clicks and moans. Then they showed me something. A body, not mine. Human, torn apart, floating in a glass tank. Its eyes were open. Its chest was cut open, organs exposed, like some twisted anatomy class. And then I realized they were comparing us. I saw charts, X-rays. They were studying how we die. I started convulsing, screaming inside my mind, and just like that, I was back in my truck, throat raw, shirt soaked in sweat. My wrist had a puncture. The clock said only 10 minutes past. But outside, tire tracks circled my truck. I didn't think things could get worse until I heard it. A low hum started vibrating through the air, almost like the world itself was groaning. The light outside wasn't just hovering anymore. It was pulsing. My windows rattled. My dog, who never barked, started howling like something ancient was calling to him. Then the power cut out. Pitch black. No hum of electronics, just the sound of that deep pulsing and my own breathing. I grabbed a flashlight, but it barely lit more than a foot in front of me, like the air itself was swallowing the light. And that's when I saw them. Outside, in the field behind my house, figures, 3 of them, not walking, gliding, tall, slender, skin so pale it almost glowed blue in the dark. Their heads were long and narrow, no visible eyes, but somehow I knew they could see me. I backed away from the window, but I already knew I was the reason they were here. A sound exploded in my skull like radio static, turned up to a scream. I dropped to my knees, clutching my ears, but the pain wasn't in my ears. It was inside me, like they were reaching through my mind, looking for something. Then I blacked out. But not like sleep, not like fainting. It felt like my consciousness was stripped from my body and thrown into a cold, endless void. I was floating, paralyzed, with images strobing around me. Human bodies, limbs outstretched, eyes wide and frozen, strapped down, dissected, and I could feel them, their panic, their pain as if it were mine. I screamed, but no sound came out. I didn't have a mouth anymore. I was just thought, fear, floating inside a hive of minds that weren't mine. Then, a voice, not a sound, but a pressure said, "This is how you learn. This is how you evolve." I don't remember getting back into my body. I just remember waking up on the floor, bleeding from my nose, my dog gone, my front door wide open, and etched into my living room wall, in something like ash, was a symbol, circular, pulsing like it was breathing. I know what I saw wasn't human, and I know they'll be back, because last night the symbol was glowing. I tried everything. I called the police, said someone broke into my house. They checked it out, shrugged at the open door, the scorched floor, said maybe it was a prank, but I knew better. I started recording everything, left cameras on while I slept. One night, the footage glitched only for 5 seconds. In that gap, I vanished from my bed. The timestamp continued, but I was gone. When I woke up that morning, I had dirt under my fingernails. My car was running in the driveway, and in the back seat was something I didn't put there, a photo. It was me, strapped to that metal table, eyes open, blank. A drip bag hanging beside my head, and in the corner of the image, just barely visible, was another me. Watching, smiling. They didn't just take my blood, they took a version of me. I've seen him since. In reflections, in dreams. Once, across the street, at 3 a.m. standing still under the streetlight, wearing my face. Now, I don't know if I'm real. I don't know if he's living my life while I hide in here, scared of my own shadow. But I know this, they didn't come to study us. They came to replace us. And I think they're just getting to the spot because it was remote. No cell service, no nearby trails, just deep forest in the Oregon Cascades, untouched and silent. Perfect for a weekend off-grid. There were 3 of us, me, Logan, and Hannah. We set up camp by the river, cracked beers, told ghost stories. But around 11 p.m., everything changed. No wind, no animal sounds, just silence, heavy silence. The kind that feels wrong in your bones. Then we heard it, a low-frequency hum, like an engine turning over inside your head. Logan stood up, confused. Hannah's nose started bleeding. We looked up. There was something above the tree line. Not moving, not blinking, just there. A triangle of pulsing white lights, completely still. Then the lights shifted. Downward. A beam of light burst through the trees and slammed into the fire. Pit, no heat, no smoke. The flames just vanished. And then Logan was gone. Gone. We turned, and he just wasn't there anymore. No sound, no scream. Just empty air. I shouted his name, ran toward where he stood and found his boots. Still laced up, still warm. Hannah started sobbing. The light was crawling across the ground, toward us like it was alive. We ran. But we didn't get far. Something was waiting beyond the trees. If you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe and leave a like, as it really helps us out. Be sure to share this with your friends, and if you want to hear more stories like this, check out this playlist right here. Until next time, I'll see you later. With more nightmares, screaming. Subscribe for more.